جميع. بتمنى تكونوا كلكم استمتعتوا في الغداء. كان اليوم عندنا مرحلتين من التغذية. بدأنا الصبح بتغذية العقل بهالمعلومات وبهالخبرات اللي شفناها، وبتهيأني بما إنه كل واحد فينا وكل واحدة فينا حاضرين هون إحنا مهتمين بالموضوع، فبنقدر نعتبره كمان غذائنا الروح. ومن ثم انتقلنا إلى تغذية المعدة وأخذنا الطاقة اللازمة اللي بتمنى إنه تساعدكم إطلاق مزيد من التفاعل في هاي الجلسة. عندنا هاي الجلسة راح تكون الجلسة قبل الأخيرة لهذا النهار، وعنوانها هو الممارسات الجيدة والدروس المستفادة بشأن تعزيز أطر التعاون بشأن هجرة اليد العاملة من منظور قطاع العمل المنزلي وتوسيع نطاقها لتشمل القارة الإفريقية. من أجل أنه نتمكن من جمع المعلومات والمناقشة في هذا المحور، رح يكون لدينا 3 متحدثين. بعض من نسخ البرنامج لديكم بيقول إنه 4، ولكن في أحد المتحدثين غير متوافر اليوم، ونتمنى إنه نعوض مشاركته في الجلسات اللي رح تكون في الغد إن شاء الله. كمان اليوم بهاي الجلسة رح نستخدم التكنولوجيا، فعشان هيك رح نبدأ بماريكي. ماريكي هي بتشتغل بهذا المجال في الاتحاد الدولي للنقابات في بروكسل. جاهزة ماريك؟ اوكي.
Okay, I can hear you. Yes, I hear you.
All right, now everyone can see you.
Here you are.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Good. I hope it's going well. Okay, we'll start. Within the context of this panel, or the theme of this panel, I would like to share some of our experiences with our work we have been doing on domestic workers and migrant domestic workers. Actually, within the context of the 12 by 12 campaign, which the I2C launched together with the IDWF and other allies, let's say early 2012, we were actually aiming at a maximum number of ratifications of ILO Convention 189 and labor law reforms. And within that context, we also had a particular focus on the Gulf countries, since millions of migrant domestic workers face very high risks of being exploited and abused and to be trapped in forced labor. And at the same time, there were more and more stories, and there was more and more evidence coming forward in media and social media on the plight of migrant domestic workers in the Gulf countries. More information was needed on their specific situation and on the risks they would encounter in the Gulf countries. So in 2014, the I2C published a review of existing legislation on migrant domestic workers in the Gulf countries, and to show what the gaps are in their protection, and also showing the gaps between national legislation and the provisions of ILO Convention 189. So that was to provide guidance to governments in the Gulf countries, as well to governments from departure countries, to see where the gaps are, also with a view when they would negotiate, for instance, MOUs or bilateral agreements, then they might be able to use it. And also it was, of course, produced for campaigning purposes for the migrant domestic workers and for the domestic workers movement as a whole. Leading up to this publication were consultations with the IDWF, but also with Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, and how can we build more coordinated pressure on the governments in the Gulf countries, at least to make sure that so many families and communities are seriously concerned with the plight and the risks of migrant domestic workers in the Gulf countries. So this led to a joint press release in 2014 signed on by many affiliates of ITUC, but also of the IDWF, and where we also refer to the publication the ITUC has done, and also Amnesty International referred to its report on migrant domestic workers in Qatar, and Human Rights Watch to its report on migrant domestic workers in the United Arab Emirates. Now, the ITUC sent as well an official letter to the governments in the Gulf states with a copy of this comparison of national legislation and providing recommendations on for reforms, for labor law reforms. At the same time, around the same time, Human Rights Watch initiated an action, or let's say an activity in Kuwait, which was taking place at the University Law School in Kuwait, and it was actually a forum with representatives from Kuwait, from the university, from the government, also from civil society groups, to discuss the situation of migrant domestic workers and to what extent it would be possible to adopt reforms which would be getting close to compliance with sorry, the light is going out, compliance with ILO Convention 189. So that was done, and linked to all these initiatives and activities and publications, there were specific calls going out to what we think the Gulf countries could do. And of course, that was to have a closer look at the provisions of Convention 189. We actually called for a ratification of Convention 189 to establish and enforce comprehensive labor law protections for migrant workers, also in general, but including domestic workers, because we do see that where sometimes reviews are when a law is reviewed, that still in some occasions domestic workers are specifically excluded. We also would like to see a reform of the Kavala sponsorship system and strengthen regulation and monitoring of labor recruitment agencies. So that was quite a list of recommendations. During that time, the Gulf states were also in a process to consider the adoption of a unified contract for migrant domestic workers. This didn't happen. But what did happen was that, and that also is based on consultations and inside information from respective labor ministries in the Gulf countries, is that the coordinated actions or publications made an impact, and and actually it showed that coordinated pressure did work. And since then, we saw some positive steps being made in trying to secure rights and protections of migrant domestic workers. So we have seen positive shifts happening, or reforms happening in Kuwait, recently in Qatar, and also the United Arab Emirates are in a process to make a move towards reforms so that rights and protections of migrant domestic workers can be improved. So these are positive steps, although there are still concerns, for instance, on the enforcement mechanisms. But I don't have a lot of time to go into much detail on that, and I'm sure that your meeting will allow a lot of time to have more, to focus more on that aspect. I just want to share with you our experiences with the actions and networking we have done. But what I just want to say was that coordination, networking, it really worked. And that we also saw as part of the overall 12 by 12 campaign, which we assessed in 2015 in Brussels with some key campaigners around the world, who also said that in general, that when we work in alliance together, then it accelerates progress and results. And governments become more sensitive to adopt labor law reforms or to even ratify the Convention 189. Of course, I will be realistic. It will take many, many more years before we will see the change we want to see in the Gulf states. So that requires a continuous process on how we can move forward. But I also would like to add another aspect, I think, and that is also based on lessons learned from the past couple of years, is that we also require a focus on the countries of departure. I just want to share some insights with you. For instance, the Bangladesh government representative informed us that Bangladesh would be considering ratification of Convention 189. And why? When I asked them, since it will add pressure to their bargaining position with the Gulf countries. In other words, a government of a destination of a departure country is not seen as genuine when pointing out its concerns on the treatment of migrant domestic workers in the Gulf, when it allows abuse and exploitation in its own country, by maintaining as well major gaps in their labor laws. Another aspect I want to share is that a shift also took place in the recruitment of migrant domestic workers. We have seen that due to bans on and off from departure countries and increased criticism of departure countries in Asia, the Gulf countries, particularly Saudi Arabia, started to recruit since a couple of years domestic workers in African countries. And this initially led to agreements which raised a lot of concern. For instance, the agreement between Uganda and Saudi Arabia, where Uganda actually said in the media, oh, we have secured jobs for 1 million young, highly educated women who will go now to Saudi Arabia to take up domestic work, without providing any information about their basic rights and so on, or what the risks could be when being employed in a country like Saudi Arabia. Within this context, I like to highlight that since there was a tripartite presence of Uganda at an inter-regional ILO meeting in Madagascar, we confronted them with cases of abuse of young women domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. And actually, the government had no idea what the risks were of young women domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. So they lacked a lot of knowledge, a lot of awareness, and above all, professional legal advice on how to deal with Gulf countries who want to recruit many young migrant women domestic workers. And also, another aspect I want to share is that I2C came across, that was also about 1.5 years ago, a horrendous case of forced labor. In Mauritania, hundreds of women, almost 1,000 women and men, were recruited by a recruitment agency in Mauritania for Saudi Arabia under the pretext that they would be working in Saudi Arabia as teachers, as professional care workers, and so on. But on arrival, women were forced to work as domestic workers, and many were traumatized because they were raped and locked up in the employee's home. So this led to a shock wave, and actually I2C asked Mauritania, the government of Mauritania, to take immediate action and to immediately focus on the responsible recruitment agency, because actually the recruitment agency got the support from the Mauritanian government to do this kind of forced labor work. So we we pressured the Mauritanian government, and actually that led to sanctions to for the recruitment agency and to some of the reforms in their national law and practices in relation to forced labor. I also would like to share another aspect. I think it's important. Philip Alston, Special Rapporteur on Extreme Poverty and Human Rights, carried out a mission to Saudi Arabia, and he found out, for instance, that in Saudi Arabia there are 500,000 migrant domestic workers from Indonesia undocumented. And he put it in his report, and he said it was mainly due because the bilateral agreement between Indonesia and Saudi Arabia had been put on hold because Indonesia had put up a ban. Now you can imagine that these undocumented migrant domestic workers from Indonesia are very vulnerable to abusive situations and exploitation. So this again would also require some proactive action from Indonesian governments. So
can you wrap up, please?
Yeah, I will wrap up now. So to move forward, I would like to say that I would like to say that I really would encourage engagement and cooperation between IDWF and ITUC affiliates with a view to also inform and influence governments from from departure countries on rights and protections of migrant domestic workers. So I think a two-pronged approach is necessary, as well making sure that they either ratify the Convention 189 or adopt major labor law reforms, and on the other hand be in consultation with each other on how to secure rights and protections for migrant domestic workers, and that includes as well being consulted by the governments when they conclude bilateral agreements or memorandum of understanding. So I think that form of cooperation is key, and also, the ITUC is offering its support that, for instance, after this meeting, we could send our updated legal briefing on migrant domestic workers in the Gulf states, together with other resource materials, to our ITUC affiliates in the departure countries, and asking them to call for a meeting with IDWF affiliates, so that we can continue the process of working together in coordination, and to build upon existing initiatives, and to do some data collection. Okay, I have more to say, but I can also share that later on.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be other opportunities for questions, so you will be with us to answer those questions, and you will have the time to add whatever you could not cover in your presentation. Thank you, Marika. Thank you.
Thank you.
يعني الحقيقة إنه ماريكا أحضرت العديد من المواضيع طاولتنا اليوم النقاش، وأوردت العديد من نماذج إيجابية العمل، سواء على مستوى الدولة أو على مستوى التشريع أو على مستوى استغلال إيجابي للتواصل الاجتماعي والمنشورات والحملات. حبيت بس أذكر هدول جملتين تخلوهم في بالكم حتى تقدروا تحددوا الأسئلة اللي رح نسألها لماريكا فيما بعد. والآن أتجه إلى الأخ جنانك بهادور من لجنة المهاجرين في نيبال. رح يتحدث باللغة النيبالية، ولكن نشكر الله إنه في عنا حدا يساعدنا في الترجمة حتى نقدر نفهم ونستمع لجناك. جناك بليز.
नमस्ते सबैजनालाई. I want to help this Gyano translate.
Hello, good afternoon everybody from Nepal, Jifont.
सुरु गर्नु हैन?
अर्के भन्नु.
Are you going to translate English?
Okay.
Ng Indonesian.
मेरो नाम जनक बिक. म नेपाल ट्रेड युनियन महासङ्घ जिफन्डको प्रवासी डेस्कमा काम गर्छु.
My name is Janak Bahadur Bika and I am from Nepal and I am working with the affiliated Jifond migrant desk migrant committee.
र म केही वर्ष चाहिँ वैदेशिक रोजगारमै काम गरेको भएर त्यही डेस्कमा काम गर्छु।
I am since a decade. I am also work abroad, and now I am in Nepal for working the migrant workers.
पहिला चाहिँ म मलेसियामा काम गर्थेँ, 10 वर्ष मलेसियामा काम गरेँ। त्यसपछि फर्केर आएपछि चाहिँ म जिफनकै माइग्रेन्ट डेस्कमा काम गर्छु।
I had worked in Malaysia a decade.
र जिफनमा पहिला जिफनले नेपालमा भएका मजदुरहरूलाई मात्रै हेर्थ्यो भने नेपालमा भन्दा पनि पछि चाहिँ वैदेशिक रोजगारीमा धेरै मान्छे जाने हुनाले विदेशमा पनि हामीले चाहिँ नेपालीहरूलाई सहयोग गर्नुपर्छ, प्रवासीहरूलाई भनेर चाहिँ 1994 मा जीएसजी को स्थापना गर्यो।
First of all, thank you very much from the GFUN side to the organizer. And before, GFUN was working only for the domestic, only for the national labor workers. Beside that, we found that two more workers are migrating, so they are thinking about the migrant workers also, and they are unionized the migrant workers.
जहाँ कामदार त्यहाँ जिफन भन्ने नाराका साथ 1994 मा कोरियाबाट चाहिँ हाम्रो जीएसजी जिफन सपोर्ट ग्रुप भनेर स्थापना भयो।
Since 1994, with the slogan of "Where is the labor workers, there is the GFUN," is start from the South Korea to organize the migrant workers.
त्यसपछि 2004 मा चाहिँ मलेसियामा स्थापना भयो जीएसजी जिफन सपोर्ट ग्रुप मलेसिया।
And then GFUN support group was established in Malaysia in 2004.
त्यसपछि त्यहाँ जुन देशमा समस्या पर्छ त्यो देशमा चाहिँ त्यही देशमा भएको युनियन र एमबीसीहरुसँग सहकार्य गरेर चाहिँ त्यो देशमा परेका नेपालीहरुको चाहिँ समस्याको समाधान गर्ने गरेर चाहिँ त्यहाँ हाम्रा लिडरहरु एक जना पठाइयो।
Okay, where the problems are arises, that means migrant workers in the destination country, there is a one leader is appointed to head the migrant workers in the destination country from the GFUN.
त्यस्तै गरेर बाहिर जीएसजी को स्थापना गरेपछि पनि नेपालमा चाहिँ हेड अफिसमा माइग्रेन्ट डेस्क भनेर एउटा डेस्क खोलियो जसले जसले चाहिँ उहाँबाट चाहिँ समस्या पर फर्केर आएको नेपालीहरुलाई चाहिँ नेपालमा सहयोग गर्ने कानुनी सहायता दिने भनेर।
After establishing the GFUN group support in different countries, and then after that to handle the problem and to handle the cases and for the coordination point, GFUN had made the Central Migrant Desk Committee in the Central Head Office that is in Kathmandu.
पहिला हाम्रो नेपाल सरकारले चाहिँ डोमेस्टिक वर्करहरुलाई पनि बाहिर जानको लागि चाहिँ खुला गरेको थियो केही समय पहिला चाहिँ। त्यसपछि यसमा धेरै समस्याहरु आयो जुन डोमेस्टिक वर्करलाई चाहिँ त्यहाँ विभिन्न शोषणहरु भएर चाहिँ धेरै केसहरु नेपालमा आउन थालिसकेपछि यसमा चाहिँ जीफन र विभिन्न संस्थाहरुको सहयोगमा चाहिँ सरकारलाई दबाब दिएर चाहिँ यसलाई चाहिँ केही समयको लागि बन्द गर्नुपर्छ भनेर चाहिँ कुरा राखियो सरकारमा।
हङकङमा डोमेस्टिक वर्करको हङकङको केस भन्ने पछि हो। Okay. Before the domestic workers are migrating the different countries, and at the situation too many problems, abuses and so many problems arises. At that time, GFUN also with the help of GSO with the civil society NGO and GFUN also banned the domestic workers because of the abuse. they have to support and pressurize the government not to allow the domestic workers in abroad.
तर पनि त्यति गरे पनि डोमेस्टिक वर्कर चाहिँ बाहिर लानको लागि रोकिएन इन्डियाको बाटो भयो.
Though they are not stopped because they are agent are started to bring the domestic workers through the illegal way, that means through the India.
इन्डियाको बाटो हुँदै चाहिँ विभिन्न देशहरूमा लान चाहिँ रोकिएन. जस्तै साउदी, कुवेत, लेबनान, सिरिया, अफगानिस्तान यस्ता देशमा चाहिँ भित्रभित्रैबाट चाहिँ इलिगल रूपमा लगियो.
Illegally recruit agents are active to send the domestic workers in different, like Saudi, Kuwait, Israel, etc., Lebanon, etc. So to
अफगानिस्तान यो सबै हो. त्यहाँ गएर पनि त्यसरी इन्डियाको बाटो इलिगल रूपमा गएर पनि त्यहाँ गएर चाहिँ झन् समस्यामा परे डोमेस्टिक वर्कर चाहिँ. जस्तो त्यसमा महिलाहरू नै बढी भेटिन्छ डोमेस्टिक वर्करमा.
Okay. Basically, domestic workers are found are women, female workers, and they are even go to the they are sending through the illegal way. They are in too many problems. They are abused and they have sexual harassment and so many problem arises.
त्यहाँ चाहिँ अब एजेन्टहरूले त्यसरी त्यहाँ लगिसकेपछि उहाँहरूलाई विभिन्न समस्या परेको हामीले उहाँहरूको आफन्तबाट चाहिँ सम्पर्कमा आउने, यसरी मेरो चाहिँ बच्चा चाहिँ त्यहाँ यस्तो भयो भनेर चाहिँ कम्प्लेन आउने गरेपछि
after getting a complaint from the relatives of the domestic workers,
त्यसपछि हामीले जी फन्डमा पत्र आएपछि त्यसलाई चाहिँ जीएसजी कुन देशमा समस्या परेको त्यो देशको जीएसजी र एमबीसी र युनियन भएको देशमा युनियनसँग चाहिँ सहकार्य गरेर उहाँलाई नेपाल फर्काउने काम गरियो.
Okay, after coming the complaints with the help of different group supports and the destination country embassy, like labor attaché and like destination country trade union federation, with the help of them we are able to succeed to return the domestic workers into the origin country.
उहाँहरूलाई फर्काएपछि चाहिँ हाम्रो सम्पर्कमा लिएर उहाँहरूलाई फर्काउँदाखेरि हामीले जी फन्डले आफै खर्च गरेर पनि उहाँहरूलाई फर्काएर चाहिँ नेपालमा लिएर चाहिँ मुद्दा लड्ने काम उहाँहरूलाई कुन थ्रोबाट लगेको हो लेबर डिपार्टमेन्टमा लगेर चाहिँ मुद्दा दर्ता गराउने, त्यसपछि लेबर डिपार्टमेन्टमा चाहिँ पुलिस कहाँ जाने, पुलिसबाट चाहिँ अदालतमा मुद्दा दर्ता गराउने कामहरू चाहिँ जी फन्डले गरिरहेको छ.
In process of case, जी फन्ड had paid self expenses for the victims, survivable persons, and first of all we have to complain in the register in the labor department. Without registration in labor department in Nepal we cannot handle the case, and after that police will be handle this case. All things different group support group help to them, to the domestic workers who are in survivable and who are in victims.
त्यस्ता उहाँहरूलाई बेच्नेहरूलाई चाहिँ अहिले केही मान्छेहरू चाहिँ नेपालको जेलमा एजेन्टहरू चाहिँ जेलमा छन्.
Who did the human trafficking, they are in the jail. Some are and some are not found because agents are very very clever. They change their number, they change their place.
त्यसरी हामीले रेस्क्यु गरेर त्यो देशबाट फर्काएका डोमेस्टिक वर्करहरूलाई चाहिँ यहाँ नेपालमा आइसकेपछि उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ केही सिप तालिमको कामहरू चाहिँ सिकाइदिने कामहरू चाहिँ डोमेस्टिक वर्करले कहाँ पठाइदिएका छौँ.
After the case and after returning migrant workers, we are connected to the GFON affiliated Home Workers Trade Union of Nepal. There is another domestic workers federation which is affiliated with the GFON, and returning migrant workers also contact with that union, and through the Home Workers of Trade Union we are providing them the skill training and so that they can be an entrepreneur and they are continue working in the union also.
कति देशहरुमा चाहिँ डोमेस्टिक वर्करहरुलाई मालिकले पैसा नदिने
सेयरिङ गरेको छैन नि त कथाहरु WhatsApp-मा
ठीक छ यो यहाँ पनि त हैन यही एउटा हैन यो कति देशहरुमा चाहिँ मालिकले डोमेस्टिक वर्करलाई चाहिँ काम लगाउने पैसा नदिने अनि कुटपिट गर्ने शारीरिक मानसिक तनावहरु दिने
Most of the country, destination country, domestic workers are not paid. They did not paid even a minimum wages, and even they did not give any facility. But also, if they want to complain, then in turn that owner employer blame them that they she is a theft. So that she take out our goods, materials like this. So blaming the domestic workers, and in turn they have to domestic workers also get into the prison. They get a punishment also.
त्यस्तो मुद्दाहरुमा चाहिँ जीवनले वकिल लगाएर चाहिँ मुद्दाहरु चाहिँ लडिरहेको छ.
In that type of cases of domestic workers, Jifan hire the lawyer and can handle the cases of the domestic workers.
प्रवासमा रहेका जीवनका सदस्यहरू तथा अन्य जो जतिसुकै सम्पर्कमा भएकाहरूलाई पनि हामीले चाहिँ त्यो देशमा जीएसजी को सहयोगमा बेला बेलामा चाहिँ त्यहाँ विभिन्न कार्यक्रमहरू गरेर चाहिँ प्रशिक्षणहरू दिने कार्यक्रम चाहिँ भइरहेको छ.
Either migrant workers working in the destination country or returning migrant workers, they are called in the GFON workshop and GFON program, and we gave them the part for sharing the situation what they are facing, and it may be learn and education to other workers.
नेपालमै फर्केर आएकाहरूलाई पनि हामीले बेला बेलामा चाहिँ रिटर्न माइग्रेन्ट भनेर ट्रेनिङहरू विभिन्न कार्यक्रमहरू राखेर चाहिँ उहाँहरूले गरेका कामहरू र चाहिँ शेयर गराउने कामहरू चाहिँ गरिरहेका छौं.
And also we kept a separately, and we held a workshop and program for returning migrant workers, and they are sharing their stories to our other participants.
अब हामीले त्यो जुन जुन देशमा हाम्रो जीएसजी छ त्यहाँ पीडितहरूलाई सहयोग गरेर पनि त्यतिकै चुनौती छ.
We face too many challenges to handle the cases and further domestic workers. It means that to rescue the domestic workers as well as migrant other workers also. It's very challenges for us.
अरु कामदारहरूलाई भन्दा पनि डोमेस्टिक वर्करलाई चाहिँ हामीले रेस्क्यु गर्न र उसको सम्पर्कसम्म पुग्न चाहिँ धेरै गाह्रो हुन्छ.
Mainly it's very difficult to reach the domestic workers because they are inside the home. We cannot contact, and we cannot either. They also cannot come out. Even they can come, they cannot tell the address properly.
र उहाँहरू आफै पनि पुलिस कहाँ जान पनि सक्नुहुन्न. यदि त्यहाँ त्यस्तो समस्या परिहाल्यो भने पनि
they cannot go in the police station also if they have a problems.
नेपाल अब कति चाहिँ त्यहाँ सेक्सुअल हेरेसमेन्टहरुमा परेको हुन्छ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ नेपाल फर्केर आउँदा पनि चाहिँ उहाँहरूको परिवारले नस्वीकार्ने उहाँ चाहिँ फेरि पनि पुनर्स्थापना हुन नसक्ने जस्ता चाहिँ समस्याहरू छन्.
Yes, especially in domestic workers, there are women are who are in abuse, in sexual harassment, who are in the stage of pregnant at that time. Still they are returning in Nepal. They have to face too many problems because of our society. I want to share one case story if you are interested.
यो केस म आफैले हेरेको केस हो, ह्यान्डलिङ गरेको नेपालमा. Okay.
One of the case that is handled by me in Nepal recently case.
कुवेतबाट फर्केको एकजना महिला हुनुहुन्थ्यो.
A woman returned from Kuwait.
उहाँको नाम चाहिँ सुना राणा थियो.
She Suna Rana.
उहाँलाई इन्डियाको बाटो भरै लगिएको थियो.
She was bring to the destination country to bring our domestic workers through the illegal way, that is from the India.
उहाँलाई चाहिँ 2 वर्षसम्म त्यहाँ काम लगाइयो, पैसा दिएन.
She was working 2 years, but she did not get any wages and salary.
र उहाँलाई पैसा माग्दाखेरि चाहिँ इलेक्ट्रिकको तार लगाएर चाहिँ कुटिएको थियो.
She demand for her salary and wages. At that time, the employer has iron on her bed, her body.
र एउटा त्यो तारले चाहिँ उहाँलाई चाहिँ यस्तो ढाडभरि कुटेर चाहिँ त्यसको खिलहरू चाहिँ सबै ढाडभरि थियो. नेपाल 2 वर्ष
beaten by steel on the body, back body.
उसको चाहिँ ढाडभरि यत्रो यत्रो खिलहरू चाहिँ हामी नेपाल फर्किँदासम्म यति लामो लामो खिलहरू त्यो आइरनको तारले कुटेको त्योहरू थियो. अनि त्यसपछि अब उहाँलाई हामीले नेपाल फर्काइयो.
We rescue in Nepal.
उहाँको परिवारसँग रुँदै एक दिन सम्पर्क भएपछि उहाँको परिवार हामीसँग सम्पर्कमा आयो.
Through her family, we can able to get the contact and we rescue the lady.
र हामीले टिकट उहाँलाई टिकटको व्यवस्था गरेर यदि उहाँको मालिकले त घर जान चाहन्छस् भनेदेखि तर तेरो घरबाटै टिकट मगा भनेर हामीले चाहिँ जी फन्डबाट चाहिँ टिकट उहाँसम्म पुर्याउने व्यवस्था गरियो.
Yes, the owner, the employer said that if you want to go to the return to the Nepal, then you should ask for the ticket, and then at that time G Fund had provided the ticket and she can able to return in Nepal.
उहाँ नेपाल आइपुग्दाखेरि नेपालमा गएको भूकम्पले उहाँको चाहिँ श्रीमान, उहाँको सासू र एउटा बच्चापट्टि चाहिँ घर लडेर किचेर मारिसकेको थियो.
While she returning to Nepal at that time, because due to the earthquake, her husband and one baby is already dead because of the earthquake.
उहाँ नेपाल फर्किँदाखेरि उहाँ सिंगल एकजना मात्रै हुनुहुन्थ्यो. उहाँलाई थाहा थिएन उहाँको परिवार त्यस्तो भयो.
She was unknown about the incident.
र उहाँलाई चाहिँ त्यसरी फर्किसकेपछि हाम्रो अफिसमा आउनुभयो र उहाँलाई चाहिँ हाम्रो अफिसले जी फन्डले अहिले चाहिँ उहाँलाई छुट्टै बस्ने व्यवस्था गराइदिएको छ.
Yes, after that she came to the G Fund, then G Fund provide them a separate shelter. Thank you very much.
Okay.
شكرا جزيلا جناك، وأيضا شكرا لك أختنا العزيزة على الترجمة. يعني الأمثلة اللي أوردها جناك هي أمثلة بتحفزنا أن التقدم ورفع وتيرة العمل من أجل معالجة الانتهاكات التي تتم للعمال المهاجرين، ليس فقط زيادة سرعة العمل والتحرك، ولكن أيضا مستوى التحرك ونوعية التحرك، حتى ما يجينا كل يوم خبر عن عامل مهاجري أو عامل مهاجر. يعني وإحنا نعقد هاي الجلسة أصدر الموقع الإلكتروني للاتحاد الدولي، اتحاد النقابات العربية، خبر بأنه إحدى العاملات المنزليات عائلتها تناشد سفارتها في لبنان من أجل إيجاد هاي العاملة. نتمنى أنه لا يطالعنا مثل هاي الأنباء كل يوم. الآن نتوجه من نيبال إلى إفريقيا. فيكي من الاتحاد الدولي للعمال المنزليين بإفريقيا، تفضلي.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Solidarity. Yeah, my name is Vicky Kanyoka. I work for International Domestic Workers Federation, and I'm the regional coordinator for Africa region. I think all of us now know that Africa is the second region after or next to Asia in sending domestic workers to Gulf countries. And maybe you can ask yourself why. There are many reasons, especially East Africa, Zanzibar, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Madagascar, and Ethiopia. Because sometimes it is because of culture. If you talk about Zanzibar, Tanzania, we have got some relations. We say this, we speak the same language sometimes, Shukran, Basi. Therefore, in the religion, these are kind of the things which invite many Gulf countries to get domestic workers from Africa, especially from East Africa. The workshop which was done in 2014 in Tanzania was a kickstarter of many of the positive development in our affiliates. Luckily enough, in East Africa, in all these countries in East Africa, we have domestic workers unions, which are, at least we can say, strong domestic workers. I'm going to cite some case studies in Uganda, where you heard there was an agreement with the Saudi Arabia to send over 1 million domestic workers. In Zanzibar, which sends a number of domestic workers to the GCC countries, and Kenya, where is the route, but also sends domestic workers to Gulf countries. Now, what are the good practice or the practice? Uganda has a memorandum. I will cite with one country because of the limitation of time. Uganda has a memorandum of understanding with the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And this was done in 2015 after we had the workshop in Tanzania, but also after the adoption of Convention 189. All of you know that the convention was adopted in 2011. Now, the memorandum of understanding with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was in 2015. And this was facilitated especially after the workshop of domestic workers leaders who came up with some recommendation that we need to pressurize the government to have proper policies on migrant or domestic workers regulations. Now, this is one of the memorandum of understanding between Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Uganda. And in this memorandum of understanding, of which our affiliates in Uganda participated fully, all they were consulted to make sure that it covers migrant domestic workers. And it is specifically for migrant domestic workers. And for us, we are saying this is a very good success. Therefore, it spells also fair recruitment practices in this document. It has also a provision relating to employment contract and workplace protection, and it is both in Arabic and in English language. Therefore, when you look at this memorandum of understanding, it is both languages. As we are saying, sometimes they give the contract only in English, but when you go to the receiving countries, you don't see it in another language. Therefore, this one covers both. Also, in this memorandum of understanding, there is a definition. Who is a domestic worker? Who is the employer? Therefore, you can relate with the Convention 189, where from the word go, there is a definition. Who is a domestic worker? Who is the employer? Who is the recruitment agency? Therefore, in this memorandum of understanding, which they have signed, you can see even the signature, it covers all this. And because it was done after Convention 189. And this was facilitated by our affiliate in Uganda. Also, it indicates social dialogue and consultation. And this is reflecting our Convention 189. That the government in place should consult with the trade unions or organizations which are dealing with domestic workers. Therefore, at least this one is a model. They did a consultation. Initially, they didn't. Then, after the workshop, I got a call. I'm testifying this. There is a memorandum of understanding, but we are not involved. Therefore, the trade union had to get in to ask the government, why are you drafting the memorandum of understanding without consulting us, the domestic workers union, with the domestic workers themselves? Therefore, you can see here is a model also. You need to do some consultation before drafting or approving or signing a memorandum of understanding, especially with the government. But it is also us as trade unions, domestic workers organization, to be proactive to this government. It addresses equal treatment, no discrimination. Discrimination should be eliminated. Gender concern is included in this memorandum of understanding. And currently, the government of Uganda is engaging Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, and UAE. Now, this is a model, and you can see even in this, we are talking about the contract. This is the contract. And also, they have been able to map down all the recruitment agencies. And those who were not following the regulations have been deleted from doing this kind of business. Except, as you know, sometimes this illegal can exist. Now, when it comes to Zanzibar, Zanzibar connection is mostly in Oman. In Oman. Trade unions have been involved very well in the discussion with the government. And they even participated in those consultations. And therefore, in Zanzibar, a domestic worker cannot migrate, cannot go to Oman or in other countries without registering at the Ministry of Labor, without registering herself or himself with the union, the trade union. Therefore, they do have the records of domestic workers who go outside, and it is in the memorandum. Therefore, these are kind of the procedures. When a domestic worker gets a problem, then the union will know. The union will be informed. The government will be informed. Now, this is kind of the problem, the procedure. The employment policy also indicates 2 years for domestic workers to go outside. A domestic worker, when gets a job outside the country, will have to work only for 2 years and come back. And that will give a chance for the union and even the government to monitor what are the problems facing them. Not only the problems, but even the good things, study from the country, so that they can review the contract or they can review the policies, because these agreements are being made between the government and the government. But when these domestic workers come back in 2 years, it is very good for the government and the union to get information of what is existing in the government. Participation of external recruitment agencies. Yes, there are other illegal, but also the participation of these external recruitment agencies is very important. Therefore, there is a link, especially in Oman, with the external recruitment agencies and the internal. And good luck, I was involved in that meeting. In such a way, in Zanzibar, they've formed a special association committee which includes good employers, local employers of domestic workers and the recruitment agencies of domestic workers. They formed the association and they work together with the Oman recruitment agencies. When it comes to Kenya, there are several. The government is embarking on negotiation, bilateral and some memorandum of understanding with migrant domestic workers receiving countries. Yet they have not done a lot, though it is a transit area, because the great airport in East Africa is Kenya, Nairobi Airport. Now they are embarking on this, And I hope in the future we will have some models. But already they have labor attaches which they have been informed in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai. Now, what are the challenges? The memorandum of understanding is not easily accessible to the public until if it is requested or something happens. The domestic workers are not aware of it. Even within the ministries, the policymakers are not aware of it. The member of parliament are not aware of it. These are some of the problems. When something occurs, somebody will go, where is the memorandum of understanding? And that is the usual thing in our countries. Follow-up and enforcement by the government is very, very poor. And now, if I can say the case study of Uganda, our affiliate is very, very active on follow-up. Last month, we were communicating with the Assumpta, who is the Assistant General Secretary in Uganda, about one of the domestic workers who was being mistreated in Uganda. And we had to network with our MENA regional coordinator. And she had to inform the government. Sometimes they would say, we have got a lot to do, we have got a lot of things. But at least we are now engaging them. But the follow-up is very, very important. And they always will say, charity begins at home, and it is us from IDWF and the domestic workers themselves. Another challenge is collusion and bureaucracy between the recruitment agency is not transparent. The local recruitment agency and the external in the receiving countries, they collude. Therefore, sometimes when you talk about this contract, when you talk about these legal issues, they collude in such a way sometimes you don't get proper information. Inadequate cooperation between East African saying right now we have strong policies in Uganda, but what about in Tanzania? What about in the neighboring countries like Ethiopia? Therefore, the receiving countries will take an opportunity to work with the other countries because Uganda is very strong, then they will ship to Tanzania. Or because Uganda is very strong, they will go to Kenya. Now, these are some of the challenges which we are facing. Now, what are the recommendations we are proposing? East Africa is creating collaboration between domestic workers, trade union, through having joint workshop. As I said, we started in 2014, and we can see some development with support from IDWF. The regions, we as trade unions and domestic workers organization, we have said, let us now work hard because it is us who are being affected. It is the domestic workers who are being affected. Let us start this joint collaboration of sharing information, doing workshops together, meetings together so that we can plan to support and protect domestic workers. Strengthening network within MENA region through IDWF structures. Like now, is very lucky we have another regional coordinator in the Middle East who is based in Beirut. At least now we can, whatever happens, we can link. And this, I think, will assist us very much in our federation. Advocacy campaign on migrant domestic workers, I think, is another tool. Not only advocacy, but it will go together with the organizing. We need to organize the migrant domestic workers in the sending countries in collaboration with our affiliates, our friends like you here in Bahrain, so that we can protect these domestic workers, because we can't advocate there but we need to work together. Building and strengthening network and sharing information, I think we had in the morning, is a very good strategy with the Gulf countries. Like now, I think with the GFBTU, I think now we need to be very active in sharing information so that we can protect these migrant domestic workers. Domestic workers trade unions, we should try to create a lot of awareness on migrant issues like their challenges and the achievement through our IDWF structures and beyond. Thank you very much.
شكرا فيكي. يعني مع تقدم كل متحدث من رأيي أنه في تجارب جديدة يمكن أن تعتبر أمثلة يحتذى بها، وبعتقد أنه بعض من هاي التوصيات المدرجة في التقديم اللي عملته فيكي ممكن أنه يكون جزء من الأكشن بلان اللي منظمي هذا النشاط يتطلعوا إليه. قبل أن أفتح باب النقاش أود أنه ألفت انتباهكم بأنه إحنا الوقت المخصص لهي الجلسة هو 1.25 ساعة، ولكن باقي لنا تقريبا ربع ساعة إذا أخذنا بعين الاعتبار التأخير 20 دقيقة اللي دخلنا في هاي الورشة. فعشان هيك باعتقادي إنه في عنا ثلث ساعة من الوقت المحدد مسبقا، ولكن ممكن إنه نمدده لنصف ساعة من النقاش، وإذا احتجنا مزيد من الوقت سيكون هذا بالاتفاق معكم فيما احتجنا أن نمدد هاي الجلسة. هل ممكن نأخذ الأدوار؟ تفضل. ممكن حدا يساعدنا بالميكروفون؟ رح ناخذ هذا الجانب أول، ومن ثم ننتقل إلى الجانب الثاني وبعدها إلى الجانب الثالث حتى نستفيد من الوقت المتاح لنا. تفضل. ولا ننسى انه من فضلك نحكي الاسم والمؤسسة اللي نمثلها ولمن توجه السؤال. شكرا.
شكرا سيدتي. بالنسبة للسيدة ماريكا، هل لو تكلمت بالعربية حتفهم في ترجمة ولا لازم تتكلم بالإنجليزي؟
في عنا مترجم.
لا هي
ما تسمعش.
طيب اوكي. I'll speak in English. Okay. My name is Nidar Adwan and I represent the Saudi Workers Committees. My question to ITUC, Marika from ITUC, first of all, I would like to thank you for your interest in domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. And I need your help to know your source of information about the 1,000 Mauritanian women so we can open investigation this serious accusation with the Saudi government. Because honestly, this is the first time I hear about it. So I need your help to tell me where did you get this information from so we can open an investigation for this. Thank you.
شكرا. سنجمع الأسئلة. عبد الرضا تفضل.
السلام عليكم. عبد الرضا منصور من نقابة مجموعة الحاج حسن العالي. بس أنا عندي استفسار اللي عند الإجابة يتفضل. دول الإرسال اللي يرسلون العمال، هل هناك مكاتب لتعليم أو توضيح أو توعية العمال اللي يرسلونهم إلى الدولة الثانية؟ ونفس الشيء في الدولة اللي يوصلون لها، مثلا البحرين، هل هناك من يثقفهم، من يعلمهم من الأعراف القوانين، أو بس يجيبون ويهدونهم كذي بدون ما؟ شكرا.
شكرا. أستاذ تفضل. رح أرجع لك لأنه رفع إيده قبل.
شكرا. مرة أخرى جعفر خليل، نائب العام مساعد الإعلام بالاتحاد العام نقابة عمال البحرين. أنا فقط عندي بعض تعليق. مداخلة عبر السكايب للسيدة ماليكا أتي. فقط أريد تعقيب بسيط أن عندما نصنف الأعمال المهاجرة في البحرين نستطيع نصنفها كالتالي: الشركات الكبرى جميع العاملين من الأعمال المهاجرة اللي تعمل بالبحرين هي ما أن تكون في المستوى الحقوق والأجر تكون بمستوى البحريني أو أعلى. في الشركات اللي أدنى مش الشركات المتوسطة هم بمستوى البحريني تقريبا في جميع الحقوق كما في الشركات الكبرى، في جميع حقوقهم، حتى قانون العمل يضمن لهم كل الحقوق. إضافة إلى ذلك إن في الشركات الكبرى والمتوسطة هم ينتمون للنقابات، والنقابات تدافع عن حقوقهم كأي شخص آخر مهما اختلف لونه أو جنسه أو في الشركات الصغيرة يمكن تحدث هناك مشكلة، وبالخصوص شركات المقاولات، إن هناك أحيانا بعض اختراق للحقوق، بعض إعطاء أجر مثلا غير متوازن مع ما يقوم به من جهد. ومع ذلك إلا أن هناك قوانين تكفل له الحصول على حقه عندما، وهناك أيضا هناك مظلة قانونية، مثل على سبيل المثال العمل في الصيف في الأشهر الحارة في البحرين معروف أن هناك رقابة شديدة من وزارة العمل والجهات المختصة. كذلك هيئة تنظيم سوق العمل تتابع متابعة دقيقة لشؤون العمالة المهاجرة. أريد أستطيع أن أقول أن البحرين ليس للدفاع بالنسبة للحقوق يعني جيدة، هناك متابعة للعمالة المهاجرة محترمة. الآن أريد أوصل للعمالة المنزلية. بالنسبة للعمالة المنزلية، بما أن في خصوصية أن العاملة تكون في الأسرة سيسعى بالاطلاع على وضعها حقوقها، أعتقد لا يوجد حل إلا أن يغير هذا النظام، نظام أن تكون العاملة في البيت. هذا لازم أن يغير، لأن هناك في اسمحوا لي للتعبير، لا أقصد أسيء إلى أحد، وإنما هناك خلط تقريبا بين الاستغلال في بعض الأسر، هناك استغلال أو حتى ولا أريد أقول كلمة على استعباد، وبين العمل، هي حالة متوسطة بين الاثنين. وهذه الحالة لا يمكن الخروج منها، طبعا ليس عند كل الأسر، لا يمكن الخروج منها إلا بأن تكون العاملات خارج نطاق المنزل. بمعنى آخر أن تكون كالموظفة عاملة، أن تداوم، أن تبقى في الدوام ساعات معينة ثم ترجع إلى العمل مرة أخرى، أو تكون تابعة لشركة ما توظف كموظفة. هذه الشركات ترسل كما هو في بعض الآن الشركات في البحرين لعدد ساعات معينة تعمل ثم ترجع إلى البيت. هذا يقضي على كل مشاكل العمالة المنزلية. هو
بس أخي جعفر من فضلك سؤال محدد لماريكا عشان نقدر أترجمه.
لا
هي
فقط أنا مو أردت أسأل، فقط أردت أعقب على ضوء كلام أخت مليكة، إنه يمكن أنا بغيت أعطي صورة. هي تفضلت إن هناك استغلال للعمالة، أنا بغيت أتكلم عن الواقع، أنا نقابي ولكن أتكلم عن الواقع. هناك استغلال في بعض المؤسسات يوجد على مستوى العمالة المهاجرة بشكل عام. على مستوى العمالة المنزلية هناك مشاكل لها علاقة بعدم القدرة عدم القدرة على تقنين هذه الأمور، لأن لا يمكن دخول للأسر. هذا الأمر لا يمكن الخروج منه، صعب جدا، لأن الأسر مختلفة وتفكير الناس يختلف من أسرة لأسرة، إلا بأن يكون التوظيف التوظيف من خارج الأسرة. توظيف داخل الأسرة هذا هو يسبب كثير من المشكلات والاستغلال والاستعباد لأولئك الفئة. فالحل الصحيح هو أن تكون هناك شركات تعير هؤلاء الموظفين إلى هذه الأسر على حسب الحاجة وعلى حسب عدد ساعات العمل. شكرا.
شكرا. Marika, just to put you in the loop, he was just providing a comment and not a particular question for you, but he was discussing the abusing of domestic workers, especially for those who are staying with the family at home. And he said that he suggests or strongly recommend that this kind of employment should be changed so that working hours are determined in advance like any other ordinary job. شكرا جعفر. أستاذي أعتقد لك الكلام. نعم لأنه طلب الدور، ومن ثم سأنتقل إلى هذا الجانب، ولكن هناك
My name is Majid from Bahrain Recruiter Society. I have three questions. One for our colleague from Nepal. Is the opportunities there to recruit domestic helper from the Nepal? As I know, it has been stopped long time ago to recruit them to Gulf region. This is one. Okay. My second question for my colleague in Africa. I noticed that you emphasize so many times about the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. Is this a part of the contract to the domestic helper, or just only an agreement between the government, two government? Because he said the domestic helper never been informed about the MOU. So what's the relation that the domestic helper has to know about the Memorandum of Understanding? Third, you said that you are involved when they are recruiter start from Tanzania, Kenya, and this, you are involved between the origin station, which is Africa, to the receiver region. Are you also involved when there is a problem from the receiver or receiving country, when they have problem with the recruiting agency in your area? You will be involved as well, or just you leave the matter between both parties? Thank you very much.
I go? Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Mine is not a question, but it's a clarification or an additional information that my sister Vicky has presented just about the collision of external recruitment agencies. There is a challenge. The government of Uganda, through the MOU, we finally, the trade unionists and the Minister of Labor, as well as the Saudi Arabia and Jordan, we agreed that the recruitment process should be transparent. How is it made transparent? That the employment agency will advertise in the newspapers, both local, in the English and the local language newspapers, so that everyone gets to know and then they do apply. But the recruitment agencies are taking advantage of this because the benefits that come to them are so huge. The ones that come to domestic workers who are going to Jordan as well as Saudi Arabia are so huge, and they don't have to spend any shilling. How do they not spend a shilling? Their application, their passport, travel documents are all free of charge. They are catered for by the receiving company. So all the agency in Uganda has to do is just recruit. Even the advertisements are paid by the receiving company. So these agencies pick out relatives, friends, and then they get the benefits, come to work in Saudi Arabia, protected, or Jordan when they are protected. So the real Ugandans, the ones who really want to work as domestic workers and don't have employment, don't get a chance to this advantage. So that is just one clarification I wanted to make. But I think the other questions that have been raised to Vicky, I think we'll answer, though they were about Uganda's MOU, that she will be able to answer. If she doesn't, maybe I can top up or chip in something. Thank you.
Super. Thank you. Thank you for understanding as well. Next, please.
Yeah, maybe I can answer on Memorandum of Understanding. And
Vicky, yes. We are connecting the questions now, yes. And we will give you time, each one of you, to answer. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Sheila Estrada from the Federation of Asian Domestic Workers Unions. I just worried on, and I want to ask our Nepali brother here and sister, because in Hong Kong, Nepali domestic workers are now banned for a long time. But now, as you said, they are going through illegal way. They're going through Indian passport. Is this the government of Nepal knows about this, that these Nepali citizens are coming out in your country and using the Indian passport? Because now we're having a difficulty in renewing their contracts because they are now asking for too many IDs, national IDs in Nepal so that they can renew their contract in the Indian consulate in Hong Kong. So I don't know if this is legal in Nepali because they are allowing your citizens to do this one. And to my sister in Vicky, I heard just now that every 2 years, you get updates from those migrant domestic workers. But what about in between the 2 years contract? How do you get the updates? What are their situation now? Because with some migrant workers doesn't finish their contract in 2 years' time. Some they are having difficulties within that 2 years' time. So how you try to get updates to them so that you can help them? Thank you.
شكرا. من يأتي بعدها أو من تأتي بعدها؟ تفضل يا سنغو.
يعطيكم العافية. أول شيء أنا حابة أعلق على في صوت؟ ما في. أحب أعلق على زميلنا اللي سرد لنا قصة من نيبال. بصراحة أنها القصة كانت مأساوية وأنا تأثرت فيها جدا، ولكن أنا حابة أعلق على هذه القصة أن الأخ يمكن عبد الكريم تطرق إليها، أن لازم يمكن العاملة النيبالية هذه تعرضت لهذا الشيء، لكن كان في إمكانها أنها تروح عندنا مكاتب وايدة للعمالة الوافدة أنها تشتكي فيها أنها ما حصلت على المخصصات لها المالية. وهذه المكاتب 3 تنتشر عندنا في دولة الكويت، أو أنها تلجأ لوزارة الداخلية. يعني كل عاملة تقدر تطلع بأي طريقة وتسرد القصة اللي حدثت معها، أو أنها تستطيع أنها تروح لنفس المكتب. وثانيا أنا عندي قصة خاصة يعني حصلت لي مع عاملة من أفريقيا من غانا. أنا حابة أن يعني أي عاملة تستخدم إلى دولة الخليج تكون بلدها نفسها أعطتها معلومات عن عادات وتقاليد هذه الدول اللي هي رايحة يعني إنها تشتغل فيها. مثلا أنا عندي هذه القصة وحصلت عندي في المنزل. العاملة اللي كانت عندي من غانا كان عندي حفلة في المنزل خاصة. طبعا نعرف إحنا دول الخليج شلون الحفلات تكون، البنات والنساء إحنا برا يعني تطلع في منهم متحفظات، وفي أثناء الحفلة تكون يعني كاشفة في ملابس خاصة. كانت تصور في البنات الموجودين وتحطها بالفيسبوك الخاص لها. فهني أنا يعني لو وحدة ثانية غيري كان إنها يعني عرضتها لمساءلة قانونية ووسعت المشكلة إلى أكبر، لأن حطتها على الفيسبوك ممكن تنتشر صور البنات أو تنشرها على نطاق واسع. فالحمد لله تم التفاهم معها، فهي مسكينة قالت أنا ما كنت أعرف عاداتكم وتقاليدكم إن ممنوع التصوير. فأنا حابة أن أقول يعني حق أي دولة أفريقية أو أي دولة آسيوية تصدر عمالة دول الخليج، قبل لا ترسلها تعرفها عادات وأعراف هذه الدول حتى لا تتعرض يعني العاملة لهذه المعاملة السيئة أو أن أحد يسيء لها في أي ألفاظ. وشكرا، يعطيكم ألف عافية.
شكرا سنو على هاي الإضافة، باعتقادنا مهمة حتى تخفف عن العاملات. سؤال آخر؟ أيوة تفضلي. هل هذا آخر مداخلة، آخر تعليق أو سؤال، ولا في لسه حدا حابب إنه يشارك في أسئلة؟ سؤال إذا رح تكون أنت الأخير. تفضل.
I'm from the Migrant Workers Protection Society. My name is Marita Dias. This is the first time I'm hearing, and it's very interesting to hear from Vicky about the memorandums of understanding, and it seems like African countries seem to be taking so much of interest with their domestic employees. If that is really the case, then, you know, I just need to tell you that we run a shelter. We've been running a shelter for women from 2005. And lately, we have more African cases than anybody else. It used to be Indians and Sri Lankans, but that's diminishing, and it's now Africans. And we have yet to see an African case that's coming to us with an actual contract in their hands. And when we ask them, we have a questionnaire, and the question we ask is, who is your agent in your country? And they say, no, we just came through somebody who told me about somebody, or they saw it in a newspaper. And the majority of the cases that have come to us, and that's quite a lot of cases, have all paid recruitment fees. So I'm wondering whether the Bahrain recruitment agency is working with this many African agents, or are there only registered agents in Africa that are sending people from, you know, that's a very important thing, because that's exactly how problems start for domestic workers, and used to be a huge problem with the Indians, especially with unregistered manpower agencies. Thank you.
شكرا. باعتقادي سلمان، أخ سلمان.
لا، جمعة
تفضل.
جمعة عادل بن خليل، الأمين العام المساعد للدراسات والبحوث في الاتحاد العام لنقابات عمال البحرين. أنا عندي مداخلة وليس سؤال. طبعا أنا سمعت كل الكلام اللي دار، ولكن اليوم احنا كل اللي قاعدين نتحدث عنه الآن كلها نتائج، ولكن هناك في أسباب حقيقية لهذه اللي احنا أتصور يجب التركيز على الأسباب الحقيقية لهذه المشاكل اللي احنا نعاني فيها. من ضمن هذه الأسباب طبعا أنا أتمنى أن تضاف إلى التوصيات اللي بتصير في هذا المؤتمر. هناك في أسباب حقيقية لها علاقة أول شيء بالتشريعات، ويمكن تحدثنا عنها يمكن في الجلسة الأولى. من المهم بمكان هو تعديل بعض التشريعات في الدول المستخدمة فيما يتعلق بالعمالة المنزلية أو حتى العمالة المهاجرة. يمكن الأخت فيكي ذكرت في توصياتها كثير من النقاط المهمة اللي ممكن احنا نبني عليها. هناك موضوع له علاقة بعدم وجود المعلومات، فعلا ما في معلومات لا موجودة عندنا هنا ولا يمكن عند الدول المصدرة للعمالة المنزلية، وبالتالي احنا لابد يكون عندنا هناك في شبكة أو في يعني مركز معلوماتي متوفر لكل المستفيدين من هذا الجانب، على اعتبار أن أي شيء لا علاقة بالعمالة المنزلية يكون موجود في هذه. بالإضافة إلى ذلك أنا أتصور سبق أن تم طرح كثير من التوصيات، لكن للأسف الشديد لم يعمل بها. احنا طلبنا احنا كاتحاد عام نقابات عمال البحرين أن يكون هناك في مؤتمر له علاقة بالاتحادات الموجودة داخل هذه الدول، مثل النيبال، مثل الهند، الأفريقيا، آسيا، يجون ويتحدثون عن المشاكل الحقيقية، ويكون هناك في تنسيق في مؤتمر يجمع هذه الدول من خلال اتحاداتها المعنية بالعمالة المنزلية والعمالة المهاجرة، ويخرجون بتوصيات تضغط على الدول أو الدول اللي مستقبلة بحيث أنها تعدل على هذه التشريعات وتخفف من حدة اللي قاعدين نشوف احنا من نتائج من انتهاكات في الحقوق وانتهاكات في عدم دفع المستحقات لهذه الفئات المستضعفة. هم يجون يعملون، أما اليوم احنا قاعدين نتكلم عن يمكن كثير من الأمور اللي نقول احنا يمكن الأموال تصدر وأشياء كثيرة أنا أتصور ما لها أي يعني معنى، بالتالي على اعتبار أن العامل يأتي يعمل عشان ياخذ فلوسه ويوديها بلده عشان يعني يعيل ابنائه وعائلته. فهذه كلها نتائج. احنا الاسباب اذا استطعنا ان نتحدث عنها ونخرج يعني اصور نقاط مهمه تخدمنا على يعني تنسيق فيما بين الاتحادات او مؤسسات المجتمع المدني، اتصور سنصل ان شاء الله في المستقبل الى حلول لهذه المشكله. وشكرا.
شكرا، نتمنى ذلك بالتأكيد. الآن راح أحين فرصة لأخ جناك حتى يجيب عن الأسئلة التي تم توجيهها. أو لازم نبدأ في مريكي. مريم، مريكي معنا طول الوقت، بتقدر تستنى ولا لازم أعطيها هلا الأسئلة؟ تبدأ حبا. أسفة. مريكي. The floor is yours if you want to add comments or answer questions that have been posed for you. Please.
A comment, or were there any specific questions to me? Because then I can include that in my final response, because sometimes I couldn't hear all the details. So.
One comment from Jafar. He's not here, I think. From you. Okay.
Marika, we had one from our brother from Saudi Arabia asking about the source of information you had about the
1,000 Indonesian.
Yeah, the 1,000 Mauritanian. Could you specify where you got your information from?
Yes. Well, that was a very well documented.
Marika said, wait. Sorry. Okay, our brother says because he heard that for the first time and he would like to know which source of information, because he is willing to open an investigation about that. Right? Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think that this was a case about 1.5 years ago, and also the consultations have been taking place also with the Saudi with representatives from the government in Saudi Arabia. So it's quite well documented, because also there are reports available on our website online with more details about this case. The case was also handled with advice and from the International Labour Organization, the ILO. So what I can do is I can share the relevant links, so then you can make yourself more familiar with the case, and we are of course willing to share any more additional information on request. So I think it would be more easier if I share with maybe that's interesting for all the participants, if I share the link with you, which really explained what happened with these Mauritania in Saudi Arabia. I think there's even a video made recently about the case, so it has been quite well documented. Maybe that it has not been covered in mainstream media as such, but anyway, so I can share those links with you. And further to add, what I could follow from the follow-up discussions is. I think I can also share more information about, because I think that there was also a reference made to the number I mentioned around Indonesian migrant domestic workers in undocumented workers in Saudi Arabia. Also, that report I can share the link. It might even be available as well in Arabic, because usually these reports to the Human Rights Council are in multiple languages. So I can share the direct link to that as well, so then you can read yourself in more detail what it's about. I just want to mention that I did not have time before to say that ITUC also will launch in November a migrant recruitment advisor. And this migrant recruitment advisor will also offer, accurate information to migrant workers, so including migrant domestic workers, on on the recruitment process and on their rights and protections. And that information is based on national legislation, based on ILO guidelines for fair recruitment. And also they can find reviews of recruitment agencies and their hiring practices. And there is also an opportunity to report violations. And so there are reporting mechanisms for when migrant domestic workers are experiencing violations. And again, also I shared already in advance some documents about this migrant recruitment advisor. It might be good also to be a bit familiar with that. And further, I wish I could say more, but I know the time is short, because there's so much more to say about this on the regulation of recruitment agencies from departure countries to countries of destination. The ITUC is working on that as well on a continuous basis, also within the context of all migrant workers. So also in that case, we will be able to continue cooperation on fair recruitment practices as well. So in case there's another additional question, then I will be, of course, very willing to answer.
Thank you very much, Marika. اللي صار بين جناك والمترجمة انه مش رح يحكي جناك اجوبه عن اسئله بلغته، ولكن اتفقوا على انه تقوم الاخت بتقديم الاجوبه بنفسها بعد اتفاقهم.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Janakji, I am speaking, and thank you for the questions. One of the questions for Nepal is that either we are giving education to the migrant workers or not. Obviously, we are provide the education and training classes in Nepal with the help of ITUC-AP. There is only one GFUN open, the trade union school in Kathmandu, and we are calling the GFUN group supports leader to provide the education, and also we give the education and doing the advocacy also with the domestic workers like Lebanon, Kuwait, etc., Saudi. And another question is about the Sila sister. Obviously, first of all, because I'm talking about on behalf translate the Janakji, so here is left one thing. Before working with the South Korea, firstly GFUN is started with the Hong Kong domestic workers. Tomorrow I have presentation. At that time I will mention. And in case of Hong Kong, yes, sister, you are right. Most of the workers are usually went through the illegal, and they are selling they are buying and selling the citizenship also. Somehow it's trend long 2 decades before, since 2 decades it's running. Now the government and trade union has stopped, and they are avoid to recruit in the Hong Kong. It's a ban now. And question here. And yes, in case of manpower, and as brother questions that I think he have been in Nepal also, recruit agency are obviously called by the Department of Labor, and they have to do some process to recruit before recruiting the manpower or before recruiting the domestic workers. But in Nepal, it's our very bad luck. Too many corruption are held there. They never document the workers in genuine way. So they take a illegal way. So still we cannot control it. And in half of Uganda did not question me, no?
No.
Yes. Lebanon. About the case that sisters was don't be apologized, but it happened. Domestic workers, most of the Nepali workers are illiterate. They did not know, even they cannot write the name. How can they use the Facebook and phone? They cannot do, and other things. Due to the economic condition, they are migrant. They are being trafficking with knowingly they are being trafficking, and so how can it control? They go through the illegal way through the India, and inside the home also they cannot given the telephone, they cannot use. Somehow with practice she can call her family, and through her family we can rescue her, because we don't have time also to connect with Kuwait helper, and also they are not allowed to complain. So she was afraid, as well as Zifon also have no time to connect with the embassy and other helper or other support group and office of the Kuwait. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Vicky, you're the last one.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the comments, I think, which will build our work. The first one is about Memorandum of Understanding. I think all of us knows that there are various agreements, bilateral agreements, these convention, which are very, very binding. But this Memorandum of Understanding are not as binding as ratification or those other agreements. But apart from that, both of them, a Memorandum of Understanding is done between the government and the other part government, like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had an agreement with the government of Uganda. But all in all, it will not prevent the stakeholders to participate in giving inputs in the document or in the Memorandum of Understanding. Yeah. Another question was about the workshop. I was involved. Now, how am I going? Yes, we were involved in organizing a workshop on awareness raising, because this thing was not even existing. People are not aware, especially when we are talking about migrant domestic workers. Even the government do not have these documents. They have just a generic one, migrant domestic workers, but they are not. They have not disaggregated data. If you go to the government offices, when you ask migrant domestic workers, they don't have. All drivers. Therefore, at least when we did this first workshop, when we involved even the government, it was an eye-opener to them. Initially, they were saying, it's just, we are giving them job. We are giving them job. But do you follow up? Therefore, this was a kickstart also for the trade unions, whom we invited to also know about what is happening to the migrant domestic workers. We are not talking about bad things, but there are also good things to the migrant domestic workers who are employed. Therefore, we were involved even in planning. And this is the outcome of the planning, when you see some of the trade unions are now are engaging in the process, like the case study of Uganda. And how do we get feedback? They've been very competent. Like recently, after the workshop, I got a call from Assumpta in Uganda. She said, the government is asking us to give them some information about pre-departure training, because they don't know anything. Therefore, I had to call even my general secretary. Please, Elizabeth, do you have some models of pre-departure training? She said, Vicky, I have to, this is kind of information. And how do we network? We have WhatsApp group, we have our IDW website, and these are kinds of the tools where we get such information. And luckily now we have our MENA coordinator, we have GFBTU here. I think these are kind of the network which we are talking here. We need to collaborate. Therefore, even our affiliates, whatever they hear, like the Kenya, Zanzibar, we do have information sharing tool. With regard to Zanzibar, yes, The agreement is 2 years when a domestic worker goes to work outside. But that does not prevent that he or she should come earlier. One time we went to visit we had a meeting with the director, and he told me a very nice story. There was a man who had, the religion allows more than 2 wives, if you agree. Therefore, the man went to the director. Then when he was processing the visa or the working permit to go and work in Oman, he said, I want my wife, this second wife, to go and work in Oman. The director was very shocked. He said, how do you allow your wife to go and work in Oman as a domestic worker? The man said, no, I need. And the woman said, yes, we need to go there because we have a very big family. It is like an income. When she works there, she will be bringing back the money to support the husband and the family. Therefore, but the director said, are you really allowing your wife to go and work? You can imagine the wife or even my husband to allow him to go and work. Then the process went, and the wife went to Oman. After 6 months, a call, my husband, I want to come back. The woman started crying and was crying. What is happening, my wife? No, I want to come back. There are some problems. And therefore the man went again to the director. Please, can you help to bring my wife back? She's getting problem, you see. Now it is possible. It is possible for the workers to break down the contract if things are not going well. It is not only for domestic workers, even other workers. If they go outside, the agreement is not being done well, somebody can stop it and go back. Therefore, it is possible. And especially when they go through illegal process, I think that is obvious they will stop this contract. Marietta, yes, we are very happy. And last time when I came here, we saw domestic workers from our region, Kenyans and Ethiopia. You are doing a great job. But mind you that some of them come through illegal process. And that's why you can have this fakey, or they don't have contracts. But I think this is also in a forum. If you have anything you can share, you can network with us so that you can protect the domestic workers. Another thing is recommendation. Yes, I liked from my brother GFDB. When we do workshops, we write a lot of recommendations. But are we working on those recommendations? I think it's a good start now. When you do such, we write like here, we are going to come up with an action plan. We need to come with some recommendation. We need to come up with some action plan. That's what happened in Uganda. Immediately after a workshop, the Uganda people started working or going to knock at the Ministry of Labor to work on the memorandum of understanding. I think it's a good practice. Thank you very much.
شكرا عن وقت. جنبين وصول إلى فيكي ونهاية أجوبتها عن أسئلة وتعليقها، نعتقد إنه أخذنا وقت أزود لهاي الجلسة، وعشان نحافظ على قوتكم المتابعة في الغد. ولكن قبل أن نختم هاي الجلسة وردني خبر من منظمي هذا النشاط بأنه جميع المشاركين والمشاركات مدعوات لتناول العشاء اليوم. العشاء رح يكون خارج الفندق، لذا نرجو التجمع في الساعة 7:30 في بهو الفندق في اللغة العربية 7:30، لأنه رح تكون هناك حافلة لنقل المشاركين والمشاركات إلى العشاء. نذكر بأنه غدا ستكون الجلسة الأولى تفتتح زي اليوم في الساعة 9. أتمنى أنه نكون كلنا جميعنا متواجدين على الوقت حتى نقدر نستفيد من هاي الفرصة. في النهاية لابد أنه نشكر جميع المشاركين، شكر بمعنى التهاني، مبروك أنه الجميع تمتع بهاي الفرصة وهي المناسبة مع حضور هذا النشاط. احنا كنقابيين نقابيات ما بنقول شكرا انكم كنتم موجودين، ولكن بالعكس نحن نهنئكم ونبارك لكم انه اتيحت لكم هاي الفرصة وانه وافقتم على المشاركة في هذا النشاط. بعتقد انه نستطيع ان نترك القاعة الان الا اذا كان لدى المنظمين اي اخبار او اي تعليمات. نحن خارج التعليمات. شكرا للجميع، يعطيكم العافية ونلتقي غدا.